Hello, I'm Tiffany Gerwig, and I will be telling you about how my personal observations I did last week for Unit 3 compares to the official information from National Weather Service's website. I did my locations here on campus, behind MBS storms, in between some ski trails. The information is from January 26th until the 30th of January, and I recorded the information between 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. And I got my National Weather Service information from their site at Fairbanks International Airport, whose ICAO is PAFA, starting with P like the other ICAOs in Alaska. So as far as the information, on the 26th, the NWS's observation said that it was 17 degrees Fahrenheit and 990 millibars of pressure. I observed it to be 21 degrees Fahrenheit on my left probe of the thermometer and 22 degrees on my right side, which seems to match up beautifully given the elevation change. The max on the max was between 21 and 22 degrees Fahrenheit, and the minimum was between 10 and 11 degrees Fahrenheit. Unfortunately, my barometric pressure is off. I believe it is a calibration issue and probably a lack of understanding how to use it. I definitely regret it because Mr. Collins noticed it in my first summer class and suggested I talk to Amy about it, which I had full intentions of have happened, but I failed to follow through with that apparently because it definitely didn't happen. So that being said, I measured 891.52 millibars. My brother, who's a pilot, looks at the weather a lot, said the pressure is usually never down that low. My measurement is 98.42 millibars lower than the pressure of the National Weather Service's data. So, as far as the 26th, the National Weather Service's data said the temperature to be 27 degrees Fahrenheit and 974 millibars of pressure. My data showed the temperature of the left and right probes at 27.6 degrees Fahrenheit. The max was at 28, and the min was between 13 and 14 degrees Fahrenheit. For the barometer, I got a reading of only 31.58 millibars different on the 27th, reading 942.42 millibars of pressure, which is significantly better than the last time as far as my pressure. On the third day, the 28th, the National Weather Service data showed 12 degrees Fahrenheit and 978 millibars of pressure. My data was very different in temperature-wise for some reason, and I'm not sure what that cause would be. I observed my temperature to be 20 degrees Fahrenheit on the left side, or the left and right probes, showing the temperature went down. The max temperature of the day was between 30 and 29 degrees, showing the highest temperature yet. The min temperature was 17 degrees. My barometric pressure this time was 35.58 millibars, below the reading of the National Weather Service's data at 942.42 millibars. The 29th, fourth day, I did my observation at 5 p.m. The National Weather Service's data reported 25 degrees Fahrenheit and 998 millibars of pressure. My data showed 24.6 degrees Fahrenheit on the left and 26 degrees on the right, with the max of the same temperature. My min was between 10 degrees and 12 degrees Fahrenheit. My barometric pressure this time was 25.24 millibars below the reading at 962.76 millibars. For the final day, the 30th of January, I recorded at 5 p.m. The National Weather Service recorded 25 degrees Fahrenheit and 1,014 millibars of pressure. I observed 28 degrees Fahrenheit on my left and 23 degrees Fahrenheit on my right, with a max temperature of 23 degrees Fahrenheit and a min of 21 degrees Fahrenheit. My barometric reading showed 34.28 millibars different, reading 979.71 millibars. My temperature readings were always within a reasonable difference. My barometric readings for the first day was nearly 100 millibars different, but the other 4 days it was merely around 35 millibars different. I'm assuming that it was definitely an operator error for the first day, and I have it incorrectly calibrated, though there's probably more going on, which hopefully I'll be able to get figured out. Looking at the temperature graph here, looking at the temperature graph, you can observe that at the time the temperature were taken, the reading lined up very closely for the most part. You can see like right in here, they're very lined up, and here they're really close, here they're pretty close, you know. So as far as looking at the pressure, you can see that it is basically what I described. Though they're relatively close, they're just around 30 millibars below in the first day. I have no clue, but it's way wrong. As far as the 26th, I observed there. Okay, so as far as looking at the weather maps, you can see effects like fronts and pressure systems have on weather. As far as the 26th, I observed there to be no wind and the sky cover to have cumulus clouds with no precipitation. In the weather map, we can see a low at the bottom right corner of the interior region in the Copper River Basin, partially in Canada, that low there. And there is a stationary, I believe is what the book called it, but I think it's also called an infrared, or no, it has another name, this purple one, moving northeast down the southeast panhandle. So nothing seems to be directly affecting Fairbanks. You can see there's some fog kind of close to it, but nothing that's too directly affecting Fairbanks. Then here on the 27th, I observed a teeny gust of wind coming from 320 degrees, and the sky was fully covered in cumulus clouds with no precipitation. Here the weather map shows that the low system observed yesterday moves to the front and stretches all through the south central region. There is an bar that stretches through the Alaska Range going straight to Fairbanks. So you can see the front has stretched longer, more across the bottom coastal part of Alaska, and then I think it's going right through the Alaska Range and right up to Fairbanks, that isotherm there. As far as the 28th, I observed a small gust of wind coming from 30 degrees, which, from my understanding, is air traveling to the low front. Not quite sure that's correct, but it would be roughly traveling in the area that the low front is. I believe the low front has lower pressure, so the other pressure would be drawn to it. I observed the sky half covered in a low gray clouds. Altostratus is what I believe they are. And once again, there was no precipitation. Looking at the weather map, you can see isotherms stretching over the coastal perimeter of Alaska and clouds southeast of Fairbanks, with a low at the same altitude, but well into Canada. As far as the 29th, there was no wind, and a quarter of the sky was covered in altostratus clouds. That's what I gathered from my observation. And there was also a tiny bit of precipitation through that day. Here, looking at the weather map, we can see a lot of these turquoise ponds, which I was trying to figure out what they were, and I know somewhere I heard, but I could not find it. And you can also see that there's precipitation. And then there's lots of lows surrounding Fairbanks, kind of, because I believe Fairbanks is right in that area, kind of. As far as the final day, I observed no wind or precipitation, and the sky to be fully clouded with stratus clouds. Looking at the map, I see a high pressure system south of Fairbanks. In the turquoise ponds and various forms of precipitation surrounding Fairbanks. So nothing is directly at Fairbanks, but it's very much surrounded by weather. And through this exercise, I observed that the days with wind, there were fronts down near Anchorage. There were low pressure systems closer to Fairbanks the day there was precipitation. And I was surprised at how fast the fronts moved. And then looking at the satellite images, you can see, according to the water vapor image down here, that the most of the state has a wetness to their clouds, yet there is a strip of dry running close to Fairbanks. Not sure exactly where Fairbanks lies on the map, but you can see the stretch, which is dark, so it means it is drier. The infrared image shows dark clouds around Fairbanks, which corresponds with warmer temperatures. So I think Fairbanks is right around here, which has a very section of the darkest clouds in the state almost. And then jumping up to the visible image, you can see there's lots of clouds all over the state, and I think right in here about is Fairbanks. Maybe it's here. So either Fairbanks is in a dense place of clouds or a place with little bit of clouds. And as far as just general observations about the week of weather, and what others say about it, the warmer winter was actually predicted last August. I'm sure other times, but it was predicted last August in an article saying that climate scientists determined that this winter would be another warmer winter by looking at the sea. And according to our book, Weather and Climate of Alaska, the average monthly minimum temperature for January is -16, which is well above the average minimum for the week we recorded weather. And as far as the interior, January is normally the coldest month, so it very much seems like this is going to be a warmer winter. So every part of this class has been very new for me, but it's also been very exciting. Hopefully I'll keep getting more accurate and realize my mistakes as they're happening. It has been awesome learning what I have been learning. Thank you for watching.